think that I spread
And zebra with the cross. Zebra so. But that out
I make artwork that plays with architectural tools like scanning software, and I use these tools to look at mainly the West African landscape, and I think about how technology and infrastructure sits in these landscapes. So this exhibition is called Ibiye Camp. It's a body of work that has been developed around these amazing power ships which have been kind of deployed around the West Africa coast that provide temporary power solutions to countries that have a compromised kind of national grid when it comes to electricity. I'm British Nigerian, my partner's Sierra Leonean, and we spend a lot of time visiting, working in West Africa. And I particularly became fascinated by the ship that is in Sierra Leone in Freetown. This ship has become almost like a landmark in the city. You can see it from many different viewpoints. This ship can come quite easily, but it can also leave quite easily. And I'm interested in that tension of it being on the water. The fact that it's on the water means that it isn't necessarily kind of part of the land, and it feels like there's a loophole there that it could kind of leave at any time. Everyone has a kind of a bit of a moment of conversation when there's a power cut, because there's no music or there's no kind of light, so you can really hear your neighbours. And I heard a woman say, "Light, it don't come," which means it's going to come, the light. And I thought that was a really important kind of way of thinking about this moment of indeterminacy, or this moment of not unknowing kind of what the arrangements and agreements are to the kind of power grid. And so that inspired the title of the work of Ibiye Camp. The ship is definitely kind of a monument in the way that I've presented it in this work, but I really want to kind of show the essence of the proximity of people living around the ship and the practices of the everyday life. In Crew Bay or in town, there are like bridges and piers, and this was where my viewpoints of the ship would be, and that inspired this kind of structure. And as a visitor, you kind of have a choice whether to stand on the pier and observe, or you can walk down into the water and like walk around the space and be part of the shadows and the fabric. I wanted to play with digital and analog, and so in my work I utilise photogrammetry and scanning software to kind of read the landscape. And a lot of my previous work has been working with film, these kind of moving images that are slightly kind of glitched and kind of show a little bit of more of a voided or distorted landscape. And with this exhibition, I wanted to kind of think about what that existed in video and what that existed in a more kind of traditional West African representation of landscape and art. And so I started to develop these lapas. So a lapa is a cloth that you wrap around your waist for fashion, and it's also what mothers use to kind of wrap and carry their children. So I started to use the lapa as a way of seeing this resilience and seeing this kind of ancestral knowledge of the landscape. I also used the kola nut. In Freetown, the kola nut is grown there. It's also grown in Ivory Coast and Nigeria, so it's also a bit of a symbol of West Africa. So I used the kola nut to stain the fabric. My family culture in Bugoma in Nigeria, they use pulling thread out of fabric as a way of reclaiming fabric. So I also kind of see this laser cutting, the point cloud studies of the digital into the kind of lapas as a way of kind of creating like a reclaiming of these fabrics, a reclaiming of how these landscapes are shown. So I'm presenting 4 films in this exhibition, and the main one is titled Below, which is a speculative child's tale. I was very interested in the complexity of the story of the tiger that came to tea, that is kind of talking about like poverty, it's talking about all the food, all the drink, all the water in the tap goes when this tiger comes to tea. And when I was thinking about trying to have a light kind of way of speaking about the complexities of these power ships in the landscape, I felt like at the time A Child's Tale was the appropriate approach. And so Glow, which is supported by music by Fazir, comes with a story about these three children who see a visitor arrive at the shore, and the visitor kind of brings this light, and then suddenly the ship is pushed away, and it kind of becomes this surreal moment of the ship flying in the sky, and then the children are kind of perplexed by what they've seen of this kind of strange half machine, half ship. But then their mothers kind of come to them. The mother kind of wraps them with her cloth and holds them tight in this glowing cloth that is like a secure circuit, which is always there and holds them tight.
Secure and promised.